this episode is pretty much what I'd like to do. The actual Front Seat Gamer podcast is kind of, it's become a thing of just talking about what games we've been playing, which is whatever that is. But I like having these conversations with other developers at Grinding Gear. Jackson is a great colleague, friend, and this was a chance to have him on and talk about his journey to Grinding Gear and what he does at Grinding Gear. Getting emotional right now. Do you have anything to say about the episode?
So it was. I mean, we've talked with me and Sav. We've talked about quite a lot of things. And,
we have opinions.
Yeah, we have opinions, and sometimes they don't match. Sometimes they do, and it was a great conversation, and it's. I did most of the times I believe in thinking out loud. So when you're talking, you're actually thinking. And I did learn quite a bit today.
Awesome.
From that conversation. Yeah.
Awesome, dude. Yeah, let's end it there.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir.
This is a standalone episode. No Blake, no Nick. And it's pretty much me and in a normal style interview. And I wanted to have you be my first guest.
Okay.
And shit.
That's an honor.
Yeah. And we just had the tour. It's Sunday. It's sunny.
It's nice and sunny.
We got a couple of beers.
Yeah.
Summer's on the way.
Summer's on the way.
Shit. What Jackson? What do you do, man?
What do I do?
Wait. I'm gonna intro.
Okay.
You are together. I think you and I make up like the majority of tech art at Grinding Gear.
Pretty much, yeah.
Shit. You are way more technical, I'd say.
We are kind of like in different streams. So I'm kind of technical in a sense that you're not technical in, and you're technical in a sense that I'm not technical in.
Yeah,
so it's kind of. But there is
so vague.
Yeah, but there's definitely a lot of overlaps in there that we kind of try to work together with.
Yeah,
you
know, because we talked about it before. You said that you actually started out going the programming route, and then at some point you pulled away. Tell me how you got started.
Yeah.
Yeah. How was your 3D journey?
That's a funny story.
On your journey to get to Grinding Gear.
On my journey to get to Grinding Gear. That's a really funny story because I don't know if your listeners know, even though my name sounds English, I'm not. I come from a Southeast Asian country. I come from India. Well, in India, there is this thing where there is a common meme in India where people say, you become an engineer first and then you figure out what you want to be, So that was my journey. So I started out and back in the day, the new fad was a computer engineer. So you've got to be a computer engineer.
Well, take me, what's the year?
So this was 2004 is when I graduated high school. And it was time when I need to go to college or university, as people call it.
Did you already know you were going to go the engineer route?
Fuck no.
Yeah.
Can I swear?
Yeah, you can do whatever you want, man.
No, no, I did not, because the thing is, the parents in India have a lot of control over your life, so you don't get to decide.
With my background, Asian parents, Asian family, being Asian, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
In my family, it was very much, do well in school. Just try your best.
Yeah,
and it was. Our family was pretty funny because if we wanted to go out, hang out with friends, you do it on your own dime. But if it was school related, they would front the money for it. That was their rule.
Yeah. Well, at least you had that. We weren't allowed to hang out with friends. We were always studying most of the time.
Oh, okay.
It was. I mean, the thing is, a lot of stuff that I now reflect back on kind of. Is the childhood that I had is kind of reflecting on my adult life, but we can get to that later. But Yeah, so I graduated high school, and then it was time to go to university, and I wanted to do visual communication. That was what I wanted to do.
Visual communication, was that macromedia director, that kind of thing?
Yes.
Advertising. CD-ROM, interactive, all that garbage.
Yeah. So this was what this was what game design is today, where everyone wants to go to game design. Everyone wants to. Every gamer who is playing a game, or they also want to design a game.
Yeah.
This was what visual communication was in 2004 in India, at least. So I mean, partially I was.
I actually didn't know that about you, because I did a similar course.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and we talked about that.
Yeah, another commonality between us there. So visual communication was going to be my thing, and so I grew up in a suburban town, and all the good universities were in cities. So me and my parents, we came to a city where my cousins were, and we were just going to shop for colleges or universities. So we stayed at our cousin's place, which was logical. And both of my cousins, they were my same age.
Yeah.
They were enrolled in engineering school, and my parents and their parents got talking, and my dad decided I have to do engineering now.
Oh, so he bestowed this position on you?
Pretty much. And the next day I was like, oh, great, I'm going to go visual communication.
Right. What did you know about it when he said that?
Well, when my dad told me, all right, you're going to do engineering in the university.
Yeah.
On the day, he enrolled me in the university.
Did he? So, him being your father, you and him talked about this a lot?
No.
No?
No. It's basically, it was told to me in the university.
And you're like, all right, okay, guess I'm doing that.
Yeah. All right, this is what my next 4 years is going to be.
Wow.
Yeah. But the thing is, so that's when I started kind of learning computers, programming. I still tell my now wife, then girlfriend, and also classmate from university, that the way that programming was taught to me is the dumbest way that they can teach. And I would have probably had much more interactions with different programming languages if they were taught in the way that I am kind of still learning. I'm kind of learning now, you know?
Yeah.
So I was mostly not interested in school at all.
Right. Just no interest in it?
No interest in it, because mainly I was a teenager. I was like a hormone-filled teenager.
Yeah.
So I was like, all right, fine. This is my rebellious...
You just wanted to hang out.
Pretty much.
And drink.
Hang out and just go to university, just waste my time, because it was not my choice. And I was like, all right, fine. I'm going to be a goth person and ignore all social norms and then just be myself. But to be honest, I was super lucky that it didn't bite me in the back. It could have ended horribly for me, but it didn't.
How long was your course?
It was 4 years, but I kind of gave out and I kind of tapped out in my third year.
Yeah.
And that's when I started learning 3D animation.
Yeah, you picked up other interests as you're going through.
Yeah.
And then you've discovered 3D animation.
Yeah, so I kind of like, all right, in third year, I kind of like, okay, fine, I'm not gonna pursue engineering anymore.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna go and do 3D animation. And then so it went from going to university for, I don't know, it was probably like 40 hours a week.
Yeah.
And then I started learning 3D animation in my part-time, which was like 20 hours a week.
In your free time kind of thing?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so I was kind of self-taught.
Yeah.
And then it kind of became my major interest, and then my university kind of dulled down in the last year.
Yeah.
And I dropped out.
Right.
Yeah.
you could actually feel that you were interested in this other thing, and it wasn't worth pursuing the thing that you originally started.
Yeah. Even though I had a lot of takeaways from university that kind of helped me in 3D. It was not. I don't want to end up doing software upgrades for major companies.
Yeah.
Firmware upgrades, just like upgrading code.
Yeah.
For major. That's not where I saw myself.
Yeah. What was that? What like language? What kind of code base were you messing with?
So when in university we learned C++, we learned a lot of MATLAB stuff in electronics and communications labs and stuff. It was mainly C++ where we kind of learned all our kind of programming concepts and things like that. But the thing is, I was too dumb to understand C++.
Yeah.
I saw that.
I look at it now and I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm lost.
Yeah.
Like the guys that write it, cool.
Yeah.
And I can kind of like see what a thing is doing.
When someone explains it to me, I can understand.
Dude, when I see a dollar sign, I'm just like, nah, I'm out.
Yeah.
But which part of 3D
Mm.
caught your attention? It's huge.
Yeah.
Modeling, animation, which part of it?
So-
Or what was it like motion pictures?
No, so this is an interesting story. So I had a friend whose brother was a 3D artist. So we used to hang out quite a bit with him.
Yeah.
And he was a lighting artist, and I was interested in what he was doing.
Yeah.
So basically he gets a gray shaded model, and
Yeah.
then like when it goes out of his assembly line, it becomes nice and pretty, right?
Yeah.
So I was like, all right, fine, that's what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
So
It just looked that attractive just as you saw it?
Yeah.
Okay.
So pretty much. So it went from gray shaded,
Yeah.
because he was a lighting and texturing artist.
Yeah.
So it went from gray shaded to a nicely lit,
Yeah.
nice,
And you were blown away.
yeah, pretty much. So
Incredible.
and then of course layout and everything kind of sets the mood, but
Yep.
lighting kind of plays a huge role
Yeah,
in
of
that as
course.
well. So I was
Did you understand the nuance in lighting at that time?
Nah.
You were just blown away
Yeah, I was just
with the
like,
process.
pretty much.
Yeah.
So the first thing I was like, all right, fine, final gather one.
Yeah.
Looks great.
Beauty pass.
Yeah, looks great. But that's how my 3D journey kind of started.
Yeah.
And then,
And from there you were just like, no, this is me.
Yeah.
I'm doing it.
yeah, and I became a lighting artist for a little bit.
Right. You were working with your friend?
No, my friend's brother. No. I wasn't working with him, but he did guide me quite a bit into like how the industry is.
Yeah.
And he did teach me what my teachers didn't teach most of the times. You know, most of the times with universities, I don't blame the universities for this, but they tend to get a lot of generalists as lecturers.
Yeah.
And most of the times generalists kind of touch base on things and then they kind of skim away.
It was very similar when I was going through.
Yeah.
It was rough. And unfortunately, the people that don't make it into the industry become the ones that then teach, which aren't typically the best people to teach.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I hated that.
I think I have this thing where, okay, you didn't make it into the industry and you became a teacher. That's totally fine. But then to be able to teach, you should be able to learn efficiently as well.
Yeah.
Because when you learn, you kind of observe yourself in the third person as to how you're digesting that information.
Yeah.
And then you kind of put that into practice.
Yeah.
I think most teachers kind of should do that, and they're not doing it, unfortunately, these days. Because once you go into a teaching position, it becomes monotonous. You go, okay, fine. From June to August, I'm going to be teaching modeling.
Did you do teaching?
I did. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Wait. Let me go back to your story.
Yeah.
You've now gone to 3D.
Mm-hmm.
You're a lighting artist.
Yeah.
What's next? What's next for you?
So I was a lighting artist, and then I was an intern. In India, interns are basically free labor. I think that's everywhere, I guess. You know, intern is basically free labor. They kind of
typically it's the start of your career. You're full of you just want to learn. You want to develop yourself as an artist.
Yeah, hang out with superstars, pretty much. You know, so. And it's basically a pump and dump system in a way where they kind of bring in, they hype these interns quite a bit, and then they dump them away, and then the next batch of interns come in.
Yeah.
And
what's unfortunate is a lot of people drop off, I think. You because you're exhausted, I think.
Yeah, because
you're asked of a lot.
Plus, as an intern, you're not getting the flashiest of tasks to do.
Yeah.
You're getting mostly data entry stuff.
It's rotoscoping.
Yeah. But as I was interning, since I had this person who was helping me out with my career, he basically told me this is what you can expect.
Yeah.
And I already knew what I was getting into, while the other interns, they were not. So I kind of...
You saw the path, kind of.
I did. So I was like, okay, fine. I was going in there voluntarily, knowing what might happen in there, kind of a thing. And it was an advertising agency. And one day the director comes in and asks, does anyone know RealFlow? because we have a client who needs a water simulation for a shampoo commercial.
Yep.
I was like, I know.
Your hand goes up.
Yeah. I don't know real flow though.
Yeah. You're that guy who studies right before the exam.
Pretty much. And I've been doing that ever since.
kind of works out in the current position, right?
Yeah. I've been doing that ever since, and that kind of strategy hasn't failed me. So where I kind of put myself in a situation because I'm a lazy fuck.
There are pros and cons there. I'm with you as well, where I guess you'll be presented with a new task. Knowing what you know and what you don't know, you can kind of pursue what you don't know.
Yeah.
And then just pick away at what does and does not work.
Yeah.
And it's got me here.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, my workflow is mostly if I am presented a task, I do a couple of quick Google searches and then
see what's out there.
Yeah, and then see what's out there, see how people have done it.
Yeah.
And then even though if it's an unfamiliar software, if it's an unfamiliar workflow, I kind of feel confident that I can adapt it into my workflow and adapt it into my into the softwares that I know.
Yeah.
And one of the reasons for that is because over the time I kind of stopped learning 3D as 3D and then learned how it works underneath a little bit.
The fundamentals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there is a lot of open MIT courses that are out there that there was a period in my life where I was like, okay, fine, this is how I'm going to learn. And then there was a lot of open MIT courseware where there's introduction to 3D graphics, introduction to computer graphics. And I mean, I didn't pay that much attention in university. I paid a lot of attention to a YouTube video more than like an actual person standing there and talking to me. You know? So that has helped
me quite a bit. And the YouTube video probably gave you more information.
It did. And one of the good things is I can rewind. Yeah. And then go back and back and listen to it, you know?
Yeah, good point.
That doesn't happen in university because you can only rewind your lecturer 2 or 3 times and then they get annoyed. Yeah. Can you please repeat that for me?
Yeah.
And they're like, you're fucking with me. Get out of my classroom, you know?
You're doing real flow. You move forward, I guess.
I do.
Doing that kind of stuff.
I was employed.
Yep.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I was employed. I was working 40 hours.
No longer an intern.
No longer an intern. But I don't know real flow.
So didn't matter.
Yeah. So I was like, okay, fine. So I was basically spending my nights learning and then spending my days implementing what I've learned.
Very
cool. Yeah. So that's how I got my first job.
Was that your main kind of test? Looking back at your career? It is. And I in terms of like, you knew what the task was. You knew you didn't know it. But also that it was expected of you to actually produce this thing. Yeah. Okay. So I think I still do that today. Yeah. Yeah, I still do that. I can tell you that some of the best times, and I still get it today, going away, thinking about a problem, and just putting together a thing to figure it out. Yeah. Yeah, I always tell people that most of your work doesn't happen in front of a computer. It usually happens away from a computer. Oh, yeah. Because that's what I'm doing. Yeah. I'm kind of mapping. So if I'm produced with an issue at work, I'm kind of mapping while I'm not in front of a computer as to like the steps of how to achieve what I need to achieve. You know? So spend more time staring at the window instead of a monitor, you know? Thinking of a solution. Yeah. That's cool. So yes, I was a real flow artist. I was working, and I then moved to a different advertising agency where I was a creative director. Very cool. Well, I started as a creative junior, and then I became a creative director. Yeah. Where I was talking to clients and then pitching ideas for commercials. That's really cool. Yeah. This is an advertising agency. Yeah. So this is an advertising agency. It's a sub agency that was contracting to major players in India. Yeah. So I was doing that for about a year. Yeah. And what happened? Oh, it's so this was, bear in mind the story I'm going to tell. It's this was when I was in my early 20s. It was probably when I was 21, 22 or something like that. So my now wife, and back then she was my girlfriend.
She was my classmate in university, and she successfully graduated. She became a software engineer.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So
she followed through.
She followed through, and I still tell to her till day that the only good thing that happened to me in university was her, because like she's the one that's still with me. You know.
Yeah.
So she got a job in a different city, and I was like, all right, maybe I'll just move with her. So I actually went to drop her off into this new city, and then like set her up in a new apartment and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I jotted down all the advertising agencies, all the 3D schools, and all the 3D studios in that city. And then the first thing I did when I came back was apply to all of them. And then I got a teaching position in one of the schools.
Oh, very cool. Okay. Yeah. So here it starts. You're teaching.
So this is how I started teaching.
You're teaching RealFlow.
I'm teaching RealFlow, and I'm teaching lighting. I'm teaching scripting and
which software?
This is Maya.
Okay.
Yeah, this was Maya 8.5.
Well, this is Alias Maya.
Back in the day, when you hit the render button, go home, and then have a shower, eat, come back
in the morning,
20% done.
Yeah. Oh my God, the good old days.
Yeah, the good old days. You know. So that was Maya 8.5 was a dream package for a procrastinator. You know, so
anything just with a renderer. Yeah.
Pretty much. Yeah, pretty much. Every time I go to my students, I'm like, why are you sitting? Why are you sitting? Why are you not doing anything? Just rendering.
Yeah. Oh, what the hell are you doing there?
Yeah.
Like, get out of here. Get some food or something.
Yeah. It's rendering or it's simulating. It's one or the other, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, I started teaching. And I was
did you enjoy teaching?
I very much do.
Yeah.
I still do.
Yeah.
I still would love to teach one day.
I feel like both of us do a fair amount of teaching at GGG.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
So this is where making tools come in, because this is me kind of satisfying the hunger of teaching, where I'm making tools and then getting people to use that tool.
Yeah.
And things like I really love teaching. One of the reasons is because, I mean, it can be selfish as well, because it allows me to learn more.
This is what we share.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it as well.
Yeah.
It actually, exactly what you said.
Yeah, it might sound a bit nerdy, but the thing is, the learning in this industry is it's super rewarding. Not because, of course, you can upskill and you can get paid more, but you can also kind of learn what you can do, like how much mental capacity you have to learn a new. It's kind of like learning a new language, you know.
I like it personally just because of seeing or having a result that is the representation of your hard work at that time. You can always go back and look at it and gauge how much you've grown since then, that kind of thing.
Yeah. And the thing is, like, the first 40% of learning a new skill or a new package is probably the most enjoyable and also the most frustrating.
Yeah. Most frustrating for sure.
Yeah.
But once you push through, it's good.
Yeah.
And then it's just a thing of like, give me this component, give me that, and then I can do this.
Yeah.
It then grows.
Once you can. The thing is, there is a ceiling as to where you can't understand what the other person is talking about about this software, or about this specific tool that you're using. And once you start understanding this person, once you start speaking the same language, it's a completely different language, because what me and another VFX artist might talk is an entirely different language than what a graphics engineer and you might talk. Even though it's English, it's still an entirely different language. If you throw another VFX artist into that conversation, it might probably sound Latin to them. You know?
Yeah.
So just to be able to speak the same language, and then after that, it's easy.
Yeah.
You speak the same language with this other person, and then the learning kind of happens.
I find that kind of vocabulary that you have between two artists especially, is a thing of like just having to sit down and work together. Yeah. And then just by being with them, you hear and see how their shorthand works, and then you actually just work up hours together, and then you work together better. Yeah.
There's this is why mouth sounds are a thing in visual effects, in the visual effects team. There's a lot of mouth sounds going on. We're always making build-ups with mouth sounds. We're always going
Oh, okay.
things like that.
Mouth sounds, yeah.
Yeah. So
I got you.
we're always doing mouth sounds because you can tell a person to say
Effects is actually the funniest one because some things that you work on and go away, some of the problems that you have, you can't even describe them.
you can't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's gestural.
Yeah. Or mouth sounds.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or mouth sounds.
Yeah.
It's mostly mouth sounds. And the thing is, you can convey that mouth sound with words, but it would take you 20 minutes to explain how to achieve that.
Yeah.
Whereas if there is this like, if you go mouth sounds way, there is no better term for it. But immediately the other artists kind of grasp what to do. So there is this like mental map that you create in their head right away.
Yeah.
So you project this, your mouth makes like a 30-second sound, and then immediately this mental map kind of gets projected into this other artist's head, and then they immediately go and do it.
Yeah, yeah.
You could say, okay, fine, make this emit particles for a second, and then at the end of the second you have another emitter that expands quite rapidly.
Yeah.
Or you could go and that's much more quicker, and that's much more visual.
Yeah.
Of course it's audible, but it's much more visual.
Descriptive.
Yeah, it's much more descriptive. That's the word. Yeah.
Yeah.
So as soon as you kind of start speaking that language, learning also happens very quickly.
Yeah.
Is my theory.
Tell me, okay, you're teaching now. How do you get to New Zealand?
How do I get to New Zealand? So I was teaching, and then I was like, all right, fine. I was looking at the industry in India. It was not up to any good, just like any other outsource country, you know?
Yeah.
Things have changed probably now. I don't know, but it might not have. Who knows, you know?
It's a huge industry.
It is pretty huge.
So I'm sure it's really diverse.
Yeah. So then I was like, okay, fine, it's time to move away. So
You're looking at countries.
Yeah, I was looking at countries. And I looked at New Zealand, and I was like, all right, fine, I need to get the only way to get to New Zealand is to study. So I studied here for a year.
Yeah.
And in my second half of my study, I was...
Where'd you study?
I studied in Lifeway.
Okay.
I studied in Lifeway.
In Auckland City.
Yeah.
Yep.
And the second half of my first year, I was also a teaching assistant because I already had the experience of teaching. Okay. So it came in quite handy.
You must have did pretty well when you went into Lifeway. You must have been an honor student, basically.
Yeah, pretty much. So I was basically kind of already...
you were a teacher, basically.
Yeah, because I was already teaching, right? So I was already helping out, and then I was already like... I was a teaching assistant. And then the next year, I got a job as a lecturer.
Yeah.
And I taught there for about 3 years. And that's when I was trying to kind of bring in new tech into school.
Wait, was Lifeway in Auckland, or was that the one up north?
They had one in Auckland, and they had one up north.
Right, okay.
So that's when I was bringing in kind of new... So I was teaching... I asked the administration to bring in RealFlow, and then I taught RealFlow for about a year.
Yeah. You can't shake this RealFlow thing.
No, I couldn't.
It carries you.
before I learned about this other software, whose what can I say?
Oh, shit. Houdini, we're talking about.
It's Houdini, yeah. So the next year, I was like, all right, fine. Well, I learned about Houdini.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, this is a game changer.
Yeah. So as soon as you saw Houdini, you were just like, this is the next thing kind of thing? Yeah,
so the way I learned about Houdini was in a coffee break, and one of my mates who I was working with, he was talking about this new software that he stumbled upon online.
What was the year?
This was in 2013, probably.
Okay.
2013, yeah.
Houdini had been out for a while now, in 2013.
Yeah, it's been out the same amount of time as Maya has been, but like it's been...
Really?
Yeah.
Shit, I only started hearing about it since 2009.
I might be wrong here, so don't quote me on that.
Okay.
But I think Houdini has been there for much longer than both of us would have ever heard about it, you know? So I learned about this software, and I looked at it, and this is bullshit. This is garbage. I have to every single thing doesn't have a UI. I have to press tab and then enter a node in here. And I was like, because I did not see the possibilities of this software, or I did not see the possibilities of having an unlimited undo queue, you know, which is unheard of up until then in my life. And then also this whole idea of making a tool without writing code, you know. So then I was like, once those two venues opened up, where I was like, wait, I can undo multiple times. This is a node graph system. If I take this node away and if I put another node in there, it creates an entirely new setup. And that was a mind blower. And then the next one is, wait, I can pack this and then I can create my own
an
UI.
entirely procedural workflow, like where you can swap out initial shapes and have them run through the same network.
Pretty much.
And generates a completely different output.
Exactly. And also you can have auxiliary outputs that can feed into this system, and then it can do its own thing. And once those two avenues opened up for me, it was a game changer. And then I immediately...
And you're also like justified because you see where Hollywood has taken Houdini. And just like how every studio, Houdini was like the in thing, still is the in thing. And if you're good at Houdini, you'll do pretty well in VFX.
100%. Just because the tool is being used universally at this moment. It was not the case 3 years ago. And 3 years for a software to kind of infect the industry this much. I don't know if infect is the word, but it definitely has done that.
It went viral.
It went viral. So in 3 years, that has to say something about this software, right? So it was a good choice. So I immediately went to the administration and I was like, all right, fine, we need to get Houdini licenses for all the students. Because this is probably the next thing. At that point, I think Weta was kind of using it. They probably were already using it, but
Weta had massive, so that was their proprietary thing.
But they were only using that for crowds.
Was it only for crowds?
I think so. I might be wrong.
They could not. I think you're right. So they're using Houdini as well.
They were using Houdini as well, and there were a lot of studios that were kind of testing Houdini as a software, and a lot of indie studios that were starting at that time. They were opting for Houdini as their primary 3D software. And there was not much research. The only problem back in the day about Houdini was there were not many resources as Maya had. So if you hit a wall, you have to read a bunch of forums and then you have to post your file and then you have to wait for someone to respond. Most of the times people respond in minutes. But then sometimes people respond in days. And you're stuck. But now it's like their marketing team has done a great job, and
there's a lot of resources out there now.
There's a lot of resources out there. If someone wants to pick up the software to learn, it's easier than ever. And I taught Houdini for about 2 years. And I also pitched to my school that we need to have a user group in Auckland. We need to kind of get more students or more people to know about
Houdini.
Collaborate with other schools, and we need to have a user group meeting every month.
How did that go?
I think it kind of ended into this bureaucratic. It kind of crossed that border where it was like, all right, fine, we need to involve other places. Do we have the budget for it? Like, how does licensing work if we are getting other people to use this software and things like that? And it kind of came to a stall.
It just faded away.
It faded away. And then I worked, and then I was in India in 2015 for a break. This is a funny story too. This was when the whole flood thing happened in India. There was a huge flood in India.
Right.
And I was stuck in India for about 2 months because the flights weren't flying. And I got an offer from Huhu Studios to work on a feature film. And they know that this is another instance of where I put my hand up, I don't know shit about it, and then I learn about it, right? So they were after someone who was a generalist who can slot into different departments when work flows into those departments. And what
was the position? Just generalist.
It was I started as a shading artist. shading texturing artist
at Hoo-Hoo.
at Hoo's.
Yep.
And I was doing some compositing for a little bit, and then I was doing from lighting for a little bit, and then I jumped to doing character grooms, and then I did some hair and cloth setups, and then I did some sim. So it's everywhere.
Let me ask you, within Hoo-Hoo, did you just have a reputation as, oh, Jackson's that guy who can just like do whatever task? Or he was very much, you're very much, he'll do grooming, he'll do lighting.
No, I think the thing is, people knew that I was technical.
Yeah.
And I had some really good help as well.
Yeah.
We had Morgan. I don't know if you know Morgan, but his rigs are really famous. He was a character artist in Hoo's.
Right.
He worked in Veda for like, I don't know, so many years.
I might have seen his work.
Yeah. So his rigs are everywhere. That's what students use to animate.
Right.
You know?
Okay.
So he was really good help. He was a great mentor as well. So I was kind of under Morgan, kind of working with what he was working and what others were working. So people knew I was technical. So they were like, all right, fine. Are you up to do this task? And I was like, yep.
And I'm sure because you're working with Morgan, if he had a task that he knew you could do, he could just like delegate. Yeah.
Pretty much. So we were kind of sharing workload that way, and we were kind of also developing pipeline together. Cool. Most likely I was doing processes and he was doing automation.
How soon did you get into Hoo-Hoo? Were you doing pre-production on a... Was it the Mosley film?
Yeah, it was Mosley. We were doing... so the thing is, we knew that there was a project coming, and they were kind of starting to ramp up artists for that project, but we still haven't started that project. So we were working on a TV show up until that project got funding and it started. So we were working on this TV show for about 6 months, and we jumped onto this film as soon as we secured funding and things like that. Yeah. And it took us about 2.5 years probably to finish the film. Yeah. So it was grooming. I haven't done any grooming. Yeah. So I was like, all right, fine, I'll do grooming, right? Yeah. So, because the thing is, I could be like a blind confidence because I've done that before. It's probably not a good thing for me, I guess, you know. I was like, all right, fine, I could probably do it. Yeah. You know. So I kind of did that, and I was doing grooming for a little bit, and I did most of the hero grooms for most of the characters, and then I did some lighting and some sim work. Yeah. That's when
everything's very technical. Yeah.
Yeah. So most of the time it was just bordering between this is where I kind of like to live. Bordering in the technical and the art side. Yeah, yeah. Just when the Venn diagram kind of intersects. Just in the middle is where I want to be.
Yeah, you know? Okay. Yeah, I got you.
So I was doing that.
Were you using Houdini?
I wasn't. This was all Maya.
Right, okay.
Because this is the problem with big, or not just big studios, with animation studios, in my opinion. I might be wrong, but this is my theory.
Based on Hoo-Hoo.
Based on Hoo-Hoo, based on what I've heard, based on my experience. Yeah. That Maya is, well, to start with, in my opinion, Maya has a lot of bugs. Yeah. We know about that. And a lot of studios kind of pitch in and then kind of build tools around Maya to kind of work around. And
famously Pixar.
Yeah. Yeah. So they kind of build tools around Maya and kind of work around things. And the problem is, to replace Maya with a new software is not a good idea. It's not a good idea financially most of the time. Yeah. Because you have to also, at that point, all the talent that you might recruit also are Maya artists, Maya users. So
it's really interesting because that is very much a thing of the 2000s, whereas now I think you would just go towards Blender.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you were to like start up a new studio, like if you were to do it.
If you were a studio who had little to no money, you would start with Blender.
Blender would be a very good choice, I think.
Yeah, but I think Blender has a problem in terms of publicity, I feel. It's marketed as free, and most people, even though it's a brilliant software and it receives crazy updates every month or every week or however frequently they do updates, just because it's free, most people kind of tend to not pick it up, or most people tend to kind of...
You think so?
I think so.
I disagree. I actually think it's very popular, especially like we're like this older generation of like 3D people.
Yeah,
and
we're
I
probably
know
the boomers of 3D, I guess.
but I know the guys coming up. I talk to them and it's around Blender.
Yeah.
And just based on what I see on ArtStation.
Oh yeah,
holy shit.
Yeah, I don't. I'm not saying artists are hesitating to pick up Blender.
Oh, studios.
Studios are hesitating to pick up Blender because there is this free open source vibe that surrounds it. Even though in studios we use a lot of open source stuff, we use.
You know, what's interesting with studios is that there is this Unreal angle as well, where like, it feels like Unreal is actually expanding into these other spaces of real-time rendering.
Yeah,
it's doing more modeling things. It's actually partnered with Blender and the Blender Foundation, so they're doing this integration through that. So you're not like having to pay for Maya or Max. That way they're kind of doing it through those two open source software.
I think if it doesn't do even if Blender is not used by anyone, I feel like it might probably drive prices down of other 3D softwares.
I'm hoping for that.
Yeah. And then it
or at least like to have Maya engineers work a little harder at making Maya good.
Yeah, Maya is big on UI and Maya is big on
animation.
Maya has an artist-centric approach.
Yeah.
But the thing is, artists are also kind of semi-technical. They can kind of, if you expose them, if you kind of give them no option, but to be a little technical, they pick it up very quickly.
Yeah. Like you and I artists. Yeah. But there are these other artists which are very much ZBrush-centric.
Well, yeah, if their livelihood behind, if their livelihood depends on it, then they probably might pick it up.
Oh, the technical stuff?
Yeah.
I think if you're in computers and 3D, you're probably a little technical.
Yeah, you already are. So I mean, it's not like, okay, fine, today Maya has a UI, tomorrow it's all command line.
Yeah.
That's not how
we're not going backwards.
Yeah, that's not how it should happen.
Yeah.
But I'm saying it should eventually kind of go there because I don't know. Like Maya there's a lot of things in Maya.
Yeah.
It tends to be a lot of things, but it can be simplified quite a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to change. I think they'll continue to still support all that garbage.
Hope, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
My hope is just to pull away from it entirely.
From Maya?
Yeah. I don't know when that'll happen.
Yeah. For GGG, I don't know, but
I doubt it'll happen in GGG anytime soon.
Yeah, but I mean, old studios will still have Maya being used in some capacity, but new studios might ignore Maya completely. Yeah, and this would probably make Autodesk kind of change their way of doing things or change their way of kind of making the software. Yeah, because I've been speaking to a lot of GGG alumni and a lot of other artists as well. Yeah. And more and more, everyone is moving towards Houdini, and they're picking up Houdini, and they're learning Houdini, and I'm only hearing good things about it. So and the integration between Houdini and Unreal is like one click. It's very quick. Yeah. So people are kind of already seeing the benefits of using a different software than Maya. Yeah. And I think, and most studios, this is another problem. Most studios don't even ask if you know Maya, because they know that's the default.
Really?
Yeah.
In your experience?
So. I think so.
Shit, okay.
Most studios ask now, at least, they ask whether you know Houdini.
Right.
Yeah.
How do you get to GGG?
Oh, how do I get to GGG? So when I was teaching in Lifeway, I had a mate who was working with me, and he is working in GGG right now, who's a character artist. Ooh. I don't know if he's a character artist, but he's a 3D artist.
Okay.
So Jared.
Oh, right.
Jared
was he the first one?
He was the first one. So he hit me up one day and he was like, "Hey, we're looking for a visual effects artist. Are you keen?" I was like, "All right, I'll throw my hand up again."
Yeah. Holy shit.
So I did not have any real-time experience at that point.
Yeah.
I've never used Unreal. I've never used Unity.
Yeah.
So since, as soon as Jared asked me, I sent my CV and my showreel at that time. Mm-hmm. It was a shitty showreel. I'm super ashamed of it, but sure. I sent it to Eric, and Eric was like, I specifically told Eric, hey, I don't know any real-time engine. I don't know how game engines work either. So
Yeah.
Eric was like, oh, don't worry about it. You have to learn it from scratch anyway.
Yeah.
So you can come here and learn because GGG operates on its own engine, right?
Yeah.
So he told me we're only looking for artists for their style and their timing, pretty much, as a visual effects artist. And he gave me a test. I made the test.
Do you remember what the test was?
Well, he basically said make a spell.
Okay.
Yeah.
In whatever software you want.
In whatever software you want, do whatever you want in the most Eric way. He said that.
Yeah.
And I did a spell. So it was basically like an earth shatter spell that I made. It was in Maya, so I did all the fluid simulation.
Oh, very.
Yeah. So I also like sculpted rocks. I animated the rocks, and I had some particles flying out.
Yeah.
And shockwave that was simulated, and I rendered it out, and then put it in like.
You render it overnight.
Yeah, I rendered it overnight in my shitty laptop, and I rendered motion blur passes. I
composited it. Yeah, everything.
Everything. Thinking that's how.
Did you put audio over the top?
No,
sound
I did
effects.
not.
Okay.
Yeah, I was not that confident.
It was just you making mouth sounds.
Yeah, pretty much. Just me sitting there, just like a little PIP of me making mouth sounds, you know.
Awesome.
So I sent it to him, and a couple of days later, Eric got back to me to come see the studio.
Very cool.
And that's when I met Ivan.
Yeah.
And Ivan was like, do you know Python? I was like, yeah, I know Python. I was like, cool.
Yeah.
And that's...
Oh, that was like the main thing?
Yeah, pretty much. Because at that point, we had Perik, who is a really good artist, and we had Philippe, who's still a really good artist.
Yep.
So we wanted someone to kind of automate some of the stuff that we were doing because we were doing everything manually.
Okay.
So Ivan asked me if I knew Python, and my first side task as soon as I joined GG was to kind of automate the visual effects tool pipeline.
Yeah.
So I kind of took up that task, and over like 2 or 3 months, I kind of collected all the tools that people are using.
Yeah.
Then put it into one tool set, and then kind of published that to other artists to use.
Yeah, very cool.
So that
was the initial task. Like the first thing that he...
No, that's the first thing that I gave myself.
Okay.
That's one thing I appreciate about GG is like I could make my own task.
Yeah.
And then I could just create it and then send it to artists, which is a good thing.
Yeah.
So as soon as I was confident with making visual effects, that's the first task I gave myself.
Yeah.
So yeah.
A lot of other artists from Hoo ended up joining Grinding Gear.
They did.
I've had the pleasure of meeting a lot of
animators.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who else other than animators?
Is Mandeep?
Yeah,
Rowan?
Mandeep, Rowan.
We shouldn't list off all the people.
Yeah.
But Grinding Gear, man. So how were you finding real time?
Oh,
how was the transition?
It changes everything, right? The transition was hard.
I think it's the best thing. I guess going. My own story was, you learn offline renderers, you see what it's doing, but I was always into video games. The interactivity was just, it obviously was the future. You want to do that. You want to interact with things. You don't want a linear thing. It was just the obvious thing to me. So I very much pursued game development, but it sounded like you went production.
I wasn't. It was just a next challenge for me, I guess. It was a challenge, definitely. Because 3D is kind of like as far as your software knowledge goes, it's monoculture. You are using one software and you're using that software until you die. You get good at it, you get great at it, and then you're an expert at it, and that's pretty much it. And then that's it. Whereas in real time, every single decision you make, you're offloading.
There are repercussions.
Yeah, you're offloading your bad decisions onto the player's GPU and CPU.
Yeah.
And this was made very clear to me right from the get-go.
Yeah.
And I was like, hey, I'm going to use 300 particles to do it. Nope. The maximum you can use is 30 particles. 30 particles for a shockwave. And we kind of find innovative ways to do that.
Yeah.
And the thing is like 30 particles might not seem, well, it was like first day when Ivan told me this is the limit of particles you can use.
Yeah.
I was like, this is garbage. How am I going to do it with that amount of particles?
Yeah.
It's impossible to create a spell that is readable in that amount of particles.
Yeah.
But then you kind of learn about how our other artists are doing, how you can you can also adopt other artists' workflow, and then you can kind of invent your own way of doing it.
Yeah.
And now I feel 30 particles. What was I thinking?
Yeah, that's way too much.
Yeah, that's way too much.
I could do that with 3.
Yeah, just 1.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. So it's been such an interesting time. Interesting, 3 years now?
Yeah.
Actually, I'm coming up. Yesterday probably was my 3rd year, I guess.
Oh, congratulations.
Yeah. Thank you so much, sir.
Yeah, we're celebrating.
Yeah. Yeah. Doing a podcast. Yeah. So 3 years, it's been incredible. Yeah. And I learned so much, and it's been great not just working in the visual effects team.
Yeah.
The amount of freedom you get at GGT.
There's so much crossover, dude. I'm always bugging you.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm always bugging you too, you know?
Yeah.
So the amount of crossover that I get is super appreciated. The more people that come to me, or the more people that I can go to with issues, the more I learn. That's how I see it.
Yeah.
So every single issue I get an opportunity to learn. So
yeah.
More knowledge to me, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Let me ask you, where are you with art now? Art in terms of where you want to go right now with art, with game art, and like, what do you like to see?
What do I like to see in game art? I think Unreal's doing some cool stuff, which I'd want to see.
Are you going that way as well? Like a lot of people are playing around with Unreal.
Yeah, I'm kind of doing that too.
Yeah.
The whole like Niagara system in Unreal that I want to spend more time in it. I'm not spending
time for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not spending as much time as I'd like to. And Chaos and the whole Houdini and Unreal I mean, I should probably stop talking about this stuff.
About Houdini?
Yeah.
No, Houdini's cool, man. I actually feel like it's not talked about enough. But I'm not Jackson. I'm not in Houdini every waking hour.
Yeah. The whole integration, just I'd want to spend more time working on that software because there's a lot of new real-time tools that Houdini is kind of actively also publishing. In their
the big thing being Houdini realized that video games were blowing up, and they have been leaning towards video games and more real-time things now.
Yeah.
More than ever, I think. Spider-Man recently is the latest, but I suspect Houdini is in everything.
Every open world game that you see today has Houdini being used in some capacity, because open world and procedural generation go hand in hand. Right? So Far Cry used a lot of Houdini. Spider-Man, the last one, used a lot of Houdini for their city building, and even for effects, a lot of people use Houdini because. The thing is, the developers are actively listening to the community. Pretty much, you could just
which is like the best kind of developers.
Yeah. So I had an issue when I was doing some personal project, and I hit them up in the Discord channel. Like 2 hours later, I had. Not even 2 hours, probably 20 minutes later, I had one of the developers respond to me right away.
Nice.
And then asked me for my error logs.
Yeah.
And then I sent him my error logs, and my problem was fixed.
Dude. Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, that's and like that level. So they are kind of already deep into what the game community is expecting from the software.
Yeah.
So they are, like, for example, there was a talk about procedural generation in Bad North. Have you seen the game?
No, I can't say that I have.
So Bad North is it's kind of like a tower defense game, and it kind of is like randomly generated islands, and then you have ships invading you, and then you have to like place towers and stuff.
Yep.
To save your island, pretty much.
Yeah.
And the dude who developed it, I'm not gonna sit and model like thousands of islands. So I'm gonna write a piece of a tool to generate this based on wave collision function, or wave function collision.
Okay.
Something like that.
Within Houdini.
No, he wrote it on himself.
Oh, geez. Okay.
And I think he wrote it for Unity.
Yeah.
And the Houdini guys saw that, and they were like, "All right, fine, we can adapt that." And then they released it in Houdini.
Awesome.
Yeah. Now it's called wave function collapse. Sorry for getting it wrong. So now they have wave function collapse in Houdini, where you can generate levels with just a whole bunch of tile pieces. and like
Oh, interesting. I happen to know and work on a game that uses tiles. Maybe this is something. Interesting.
Yeah.
This is the first time I'm hearing about it.
Yeah. Oh, it has been there. It's been in the Houdini toolset for about 3-ish months now.
Wow. Okay.
But I've been playing around with it, and it's pretty cool. And like that's how long it took for them to recognize that this is what people need.
We're probably going to have to we'll probably sit down and talk more about this tomorrow.
Yeah.
At work.
Yeah. Yeah. We should probably do that. I think though. Without going into the inner workings of how our world is generated and things like that, I would see us not being benefited by this piece of tool.
Okay.
Because this is generating world levels from tile sets.
I see.
But we should have that randomly generated. I think we should have that randomly generated because we are in endgame and maps need to be generated randomly.
Yeah. Like we do the whole room level generator type thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think they are the best developers any artist can ask for.
Yeah.
I think that's probably why a lot of people are kind of like jumping ship right now.
Yeah.
And they're kind of very active in the community as well because they hire a lot of artists that are known in the forum to kind of work with them most of the times.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just cool.
Yeah, it's definitely cool. And we at Grinding Gear are looking for more Houdini guys, it's no surprise.
God damn, this Rona has put a fucking monkey
into
the process.
Really messed things up, even here in New Zealand.
Yeah.
What about art? Where do you draw? Do you paint? Do you do this kind of stuff in your free time?
In my free time,
did you have that kind of background growing up?
No, I did not. Really? Yeah. So okay. Am I a good example of a person who doesn't need to know about art to be able to work in games? I think so. But yeah, I mean, you don't need a strong art background. You have to understand art.
Yeah.
You don't have to be able to paint. I mean, it's a... Well, I kind of paint runes. I kind of paint textures.
Yeah, of course.
I paint textures at work. I paint smoke textures at work.
Yeah.
I do paint a lot of visual effects textures and things like that. But that's as far as my painting goes. Like I'm not Michelangelo or anyone else.
Yeah.
I'm not that kind of an artist.
Yeah.
But we are in a time where art can be generated and doesn't have to be painfully made.
This is where we disagree. We've talked about this before. Yeah. You're going procedural, and I'm saying procedural, kinda, but more artist intervention. And when we butt heads where that middle is,
the truth is somewhere in the middle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think of No Man's Sky? I think that's like the most procedural thing.
I haven't played that game.
Yeah, you would have seen it.
I've seen.
You would have seen developers.
I have seen some stuff. Yeah, I have seen some meme videos. I have seen some.
Yeah,
I've seen
of procedural generation gone wrong.
Gone wrong. Yeah. You can only. I mean, the thing is, there are systems that you can generate. There are systems that you can't, and you have to pick and choose which ones you want to generate and which ones you can't. You don't want to.
Well, what's a good example?
Well, a good example is if you want something to be repeated endless amount of time, just procedurally generate that.
You're talking fractals kind of thing?
Yeah, or a good example is barrels.
Barrels?
Yeah.
Okay.
If you're having thousands of barrels at in your game, and if
we happen to have a lot of barrels too.
We can just generate those, right? Or cities.
You know, it's funny. You talk about barrels, okay? Because this comes up a lot. Where Tom may ask you for a thing,
yeah,
and then you'll make a thing, and it looks awesome. It's in Houdini. It's very detailed. It's very rich, and it's awesome. It's Houdini, and then I come in and I'm like, no, we wouldn't do it that way.
Yeah,
and then we butt heads.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah,
and so my position on that is that you have this thing, but it isn't game ready yet. But I get the feeling that you want to bake it down and put it in as a standalone asset like that.
You can make it game ready.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just that making it game ready, at least with PoE, involves exporting it to Maya, exporting from Maya
Yeah.
to the engine, and that workflow is what I haven't quite figured out yet.
Because are you familiar with like trim sheets?
I am.
Yeah. So like I push for if you're gonna do something procedural, it usually skews my arguments always go towards the designer route in combination with an artist in order to put these shapes together, and then you have an efficient mesh that can be used a lot. Do you know what I mean? It's like artist driven.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah. So I would push more for like a Houdini mesh generation thing, but with a designer texturing kind of backing. Well, material system.
Yeah, I can see that work too. But with POE,
because that way you get the uniqueness as well as the performance gains.
So which is why I said the truth is somewhere in the middle, right?
Yeah.
So there are things that you don't need artist intervention to, unless someone points out that it looks so obviously buggy, you know? So for example, things like terrain generation, you don't need any artist intervention, because most of the times, unless you have specific art direction for that terrain, like if you're making a game like Zelda, you could still procedurally generate, but
this is the thing where you procedurally generate 80% and then come in and find out what's broken and do the final 20%.
Exactly. So just take the mundane out of the artist's hands and then automate it.
Yeah, which is typically a lot of what the artists do. Yeah. Well, the most competent artist would do, I think.
Which is what most of the art tools in the GGG pipeline toolset does.
Yeah.
It takes, imagine, I did not know we were merging shaders by hand for as long as we knew.
The shader thing in Maya, yeah. That was only because some people were like just copying and pasting materials. Yeah. And then you have this blown out thing that is just a nightmare to go through.
I saw one of the scenes that I was asked to test on, and it was a bit crazy. But the thing is though, in a rapid development cycle, that this is inevitable. Yeah. We have to do it.
Yeah. What's interesting is like old guys at GGG keep an eye on that. Okay, me and other people. Newer guys don't care about that. Yeah. And then they're like, wait, why am I doing this? Yeah. And it's often a lot of the new guys saying, oh, actually, we need a tool. Yeah. And then they come talk to you.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's a good thing. If there's a tool that can be made anywhere, it can be made anywhere. Even if it helps like 10% of the company, it's still a good tool, right? Yeah. But in saying that, that again comes with you being the boomer of GGG. And you've already kind of...
Yeah, my feedback is often, just do it this way.
Yeah. and you've had issues that were like, all right, fine, clean up this Maya scene. Those issues don't exist anymore. So
that's
it might, because the export tools have also gone through a huge development phase.
By the way, I'm at two minds of that, where you have guys relying on this tool to do a thing. Cool. But they are still producing like bad habits that cause, very, very low like percentage weird issues that we'd never seen. So I often encourage more of a clock up hours in this garbage software, just so you know how to work around these issues and not rely on this.
You'd want to take the apprentice approach.
It's yes, I acknowledge there's a tool, and it's a great tool, but I also want you to do a little of that yourself, just to get the hours up, to actually familiarize yourself with Maya and all of its quirks.
Yeah, but here's the thing, right? Here's the thing. Let's say your artist is technical. Yeah. They would eventually write a tool for it.
If they're really technical, yes.
Yeah, they will eventually write a tool. So at the end of the day, that's like if you give it like 10 years, someone would make a tool for it, you know?
Yeah, I'm in the hours game, man. I'm in the
I know what you mean.
Norman Maxwell's 10,000 hours. I want you to get these hours.
Yeah, you want them to struggle.
I want familiarity of an application, and in this case, yes, and recognizing what is good and what is bad, and this I feel only comes with time.
I agree.
Yeah. So I often push for that. Man, like an example would be retopologizing an asset. Man, dude, I loved making the old characters of Path of Exile because like each triangle was like hand placed kind of thing.
Yeah.
And you know, it was very intentional, each position of these triangles. They look horrible now.
Yeah.
Whatever. They shouldn't be around like 10 years later. Art assets just shouldn't be around. But that's the nature of our game. But a lot of artists will rely on that whole retopologizing just within ZBrush, you know, just the whole decimation thing, and think that that's okay when it often isn't.
I see. Yeah. It's often not. But this is where it comes to like, if it's okay 80% of the time, it is okay 100% of the time.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the.
It's a B plus.
yeah. That's where we are at right now. You know.
Yeah.
Like most of what we do, I mean, that's not just artists. That's just the whole world.
Yeah, like generally speaking.
Yeah. That's where we're at. It's like if the tool works 80% of the time, it's great. It's good to ship. And that's not just an artist problem. That's just everyone's problem.
Yeah.
Because we are in this place where we can go, oh, if it doesn't work, we can patch it.
The other problem is that you'll never get 100% ever.
Well, we used to.
You think so?
I mean, yeah. I mean, when there was a time where
100%?
when there was a time where you have to live with your mistake. So you either make it 100%, 100%, or you.
In my head, 100% is not achievable.
So then you live with your mistake.
Yeah.
Which is like, imagine when there was a time where you had to send out a new CD for
right.
for your players to for your players to get a patch.
Yeah.
That's when you live with your mistake. But now it's not the case. You go, okay, fine. Hey, there's a new patch.
Yeah.
So it's not. That's how our systems have evolved, right?
Yeah.
We're like, okay, fine. If it's good, most of the apps that you download, most of the softwares that we use.
They're living apps.
Yeah, the sad reality is, as soon as you download, they might not be perfect.
Yeah,
they get perfect over time.
Yeah,
you know, and I think as much as I appreciate artists kind of being zen while they're doing their task.
Yeah.
As long as there is a system that they can use to correct their mistakes at a later stage, I would probably encourage them to make that mistake. Because I mean, that's me contradicting my older statement where I don't want to offload my my errors to the player's GPU or CPU for that matter. But I think it's still relevant that, like, as PoE still is an evolving game, we are still making because we are still making updates, we are still making engine progress and things like that. So it's still relevant if you're fully if it's an honest mistake that you let it pass, and if you're fully intent on fixing it, then great. But if you make a mistake just because you're lazy, then you're a dick. Don't do it. Yeah. Don't do it. Just be mindful, because the thing is, this is also me talking from the person coming from the end of the pipeline as well.
Yeah.
Because like anything that happens.
Holy shit. Yeah, that's another thing that we got to touch on. So I'm very fortunate. I get to work right at the start, modeling. All the fun stuff comes through me. I get to establish whatever. Interesting workflows, all this cool stuff. And then it goes to rigging. Yeah. And then it goes to animation. And then right at the end, just before sound and audio effects, it comes to you. Yeah. And I guess we could talk about Heist and how that went.
Well, yeah, Heist was this was exceptionally challenging with Heist, because we had 13 NPCs, like around 6 or
13 NPCs.
New characters, at least. I wouldn't say NPCs, but 13 new characters, and a whole bunch of monsters as well, a whole bunch of new monsters, and a whole bunch of old monsters that need to be upgraded, and the rigs have to be upgraded and things like that. And even though we have established the whole working remotely,
Oh yeah, we had a lockdown in there.
yeah, with Harvest, we've already established that we can work from home.
Yep.
But with this, it came with a lot of communication that needed to happen between artists to figure out how, because there is new NPC AI and there is new NPC skills
Yeah.
and there are new NPC roles and things
Yeah,
like that.
this was a really big league.
Yeah. So this is when we had to be in office. I mean, to be honest, I would say, okay, fine. Okay, we'll have Corona. We could probably quarantine at work, you know?
Yeah. The bubble is GGG.
Yeah, pretty much. We are a bubble. We are a large bubble.
Yeah.
So this was exceptionally challenging, and we have and the other thing is we have MTX stuff.
Yeah.
That's always there.
Yeah.
That's ongoing.
No, not only MTX. There are updates, just general updates to effects, performance things, everything.
Yeah. So we always kind of assume that. We always assume the worst case scenario most of the time in effects.
I know you were.
Yeah.
So going into Heist, from my point of view, we were hitting it pretty hard early. After Harvest wrapped up, conceptualizing Heist started. We were like going into it before Harvesting came out.
A couple of weeks before Harvesting came out, right? Yeah.
What was cool
That's
was
when I saw the first Heist issues kind of pop up, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And of course, from modeling, it's cool. You start hitting these tasks early, get them out to rigging and animation. You did a good job. I remember coming over and you were like, I know it's gonna be crunch at the end.
Yeah.
And I'm just waiting for it.
Yeah.
I was like, prepare yourself, man.
Yeah.
Like,
no, it's the thing is though with because animation is probably the first department that starts communicating gameplay. You know, so up until that point, nobody's communicating gameplay, and as soon as you're starting to communicate gameplay, the game designers have to be involved.
Yeah,
and all the systems. I mean, up until that, the only system that the artists are engaging with in the game engine is visuals. Right after rigging, when the animation hits, is when they are looking at AI, when they're looking at monster varieties, when they're looking at skills.
Yeah.
So that's when the actual gameplay stuff gets implemented. So we need to talk, you know. So when you get a monster issue, from my point of view, you go talk to the game designer who sent you the issue, and then you go, all right, fine. What's the AOE? What kind of damage is he doing? What's the element that he's doing?
Yeah.
And like, is this his only skill?
Yeah.
Or is this one of his spammable?
Yeah.
And you need all these information before you can actually start working on the issue.
Yeah.
And most of the times we are kind of already we're figuring this out as we go. Most of the times, you know, we're kind of, okay, fine. Oh, you made it to be like that. Actually, this monster kind of works in tandem with the other monster. So you might want to tone his skills down because this monster is also in the room and he's the epic monster in the room and things like that, right? So there's a lot of iteration that goes on, and the visual iteration for Heist as well. And we're kind of also figuring it out because with Heist we had what was the engine thing that we did for Heist? Did we do anything?
I'm unsure now. I think it was Vulkan, right?
It was probably Vulkan upgrading. They already did Vulkan before,
and it came out on Mac. I think that's what Vincent
was
probably.
On. Yeah, probably that. But yeah, so most of the times we were kind of working with engine programs as well and things like that.
Oh, there was a huge material pass.
Texture. There was the texture compression thing that was implemented.
Right. Yeah. But also Michael G's material conversion.
Yeah.
That was big.
Yeah, that was big. We are kind of working when these big changes to the engine is happening.
Yeah.
And then most of the times...
And your tools are constantly moving as well.
Yeah, they're constantly moving. And you're like, okay, fine. One day... And the thing is, one day it works fine, and the next day something might have happened.
Yeah, I've heard that there are days when you guys come in and the asset viewer is not working.
Yeah.
And you're just like, hey, like nothing's working.
Well,
I need a version of it,
yeah.
like to do my work.
Well, it's great that someone backs it up and then someone shares as a viewer, and then we can start working on it. Or there's already a backup in the folder that we
that's
can use.
cool.
But there are some issues that the backup can also not save us from,
Jeez.
But yeah, so we are kind of working. And the thing is, as much as I appreciate my own office and sitting at home and working, like I want to be able to go and talk to a graphics programmer and kind of point fingers, because English is my second language. I may not be able to articulate as well.
Yeah, saying this is happening is very powerful.
Yeah. So I can go, what the fuck is this? I can convey, I can facially emote to the person.
Yeah.
So I mean, that kind of is, it happened in Harvest, and we kind of got out of it pretty much unscathed. Whereas with Heist, we had a lot of communication that needed to happen.
Right.
And we were kind of, somebody decided to fuck it up.
It's sad to say, but like, are you getting used to it?
I'm kind of seeing
that these cycles are kind of just like they just happen.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? You kind of expect it to happen again.
Yeah.
Even though in New Zealand we don't have any more cases now.
Yeah.
2 more weeks later, someone might probably bring it.
Yeah.
So that's the inevitable thing that it might happen. And we're kind of getting better at it. We're kind of getting better at working from home. And I'm constantly like patching my work version.
Oh, right. Okay.
Every now and then, because I don't want to fucking...
Talking COVID, I don't believe...
You don't believe in COVID?
I don't... No, I don't... I really don't think we'll go back into lockdown.
You reckon?
That's just how I feel. Shit.
Bro, this is how I felt the first time around.
Yeah, okay, shit. But, man, the economy's taking a beating.
Dude, I mean, if I heard it right, it's like 25% down in 3 months or something?
I believe it was 12%
12%?
in a quarter.
Yeah, a quarter, yeah.
And that's quite a hit. But, yeah, just talking to some other guys, they're like...
cheap properties.
Maybe, but Auckland's like at an all-time high right now.
Yeah, which doesn't make any sense whatsoever. No. I don't know, man.
I don't know what's happening. But yeah, Heist. What, like a lot of long hours?
Quite a bit. I've did
lost a couple of weekends to that.
Yeah, so I did the longest fortnight for me was just before ExileCon.
Oh,
and then the second longest was right before Heist.
The ExileCon was nuts,
dude. We had a League 2 release, we had Endgame expansion, and we had Exile. We had to push out like an act?
Yeah.
Almost an act, right? Dude.
Yeah, I was putting in extra hours. I typically don't. And so I was coming in like one day on the weekend.
Yeah, so that's this probably might go on my CV. Just before ExileCon, I beat Mark 2. For the number of hours worked in a fortnight.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah. So that's how much, because I did all the bosses, except for Hillock.
Mark 2 famously is billing for every waking hour.
Probably because he's spending it at work anyway.
But shit, you beat him.
Yeah, I beat him. I beat him. I think that's because I did all the bosses except for Hillock, the first one.
Yeah.
Swollen Miller. I did all the other bosses and some of the monsters as well.
Yeah.
And this is when Jonathan was like, because this is PoE 2, we need to get it right.
Yeah.
And we were kind of going back and forth, getting it right.
Yeah.
And Jonathan was heavily involved in PoE 2's demo.
Yeah.
And the main thing was satisfying him.
Who did the arrows?
The arrows that were hit?
The arrows bouncing.
The bouncing is a shader.
Okay.
Not the bouncing, but when the arrows hit, they kind of like...
Yeah.
So that's a shader.
Okay.
So that's a shader that I worked with Felipe on that.
Oh, right. That's cool.
Yeah. So, whereas the bouncing arrows was, I think it was it was probably Alex D, probably, who coded it in.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Is it actually colliding with the ground, do you know?
I think so. It should be.
Pretty cool.
It should be. There is some really cool talk that I've been hearing a lot lately, which might be a game changer. I don't want to spoil it, but it might look pretty cool for at least effects if that happens.
Yeah. I think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. So
okay.
that's...
But we can't mention it here.
You can't mention it. It'd be disappointing if we don't ship it, you know?
Yeah.
So Heist was probably Heist was the second longest that I've ever worked for in a fortnight after ExcelCon.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, and it was crazy. It was the thing is though, it's not like I hate working extra hours. It's just I like it. It's the rush of it. My wife probably hates me for it, but you know.
Yeah, gotta do it.
Yeah, you gotta do it.
But also, like, unfortunately, a lot of effects artists are doing a lot of hours towards the end as well.
It's crazy. Yeah.
I'm sure the whole office is kind of like, it has a different feel after like 8 p.m.
Well, I mean,
after 10 p.m.
Yeah, if you're talking to me about this, talk to the audio guys.
Oh, yeah.
They're working like 20 minutes before patch.
I'll come in and I'll see Liam in the kitchen.
Yeah.
And I'll just look at him and I'll be like, hey, man.
Yeah.
And you can see it in his face.
Yeah. Oh,
tired.
Oh, Jesus, man. The audio guys are probably the best because the thing is, if some effects artist goes in and then says, oh, you know what? This could look a lot more oompier if I just did this. The audio guys have to change the audio for that.
Yeah.
You know?
Yep.
And if the animator goes and says, oh, you know what? This animation needs 4 extra frames.
Yep.
The effects artists and the audio guys have to kind of work around that.
Yeah.
And this happens until the last day.
Yep.
And it always happens. They're always trying to kind of, I mean, as much as it's slightly annoying, I mean, I've kind of shown frustration, but the audio guys have never shown frustration.
Yeah.
But that Ken has always been like, he's always been a blessing. He's always been like, he always wants to push for the best thing.
Yeah, there's something about the audio guys that's just automatically cool.
Yeah.
Like they just seem cool all the time.
Yeah, I
don't know what it is.
Yeah,
it's their own office.
The drugs, I guess.
They've got their own air conditioning.
Yeah,
it's all the fizzy drinks.
I think so. I think it's the air conditioning
and drugs.
Yeah, and drugs. But yeah, Heist was super fun. I actually enjoy Heist.
Yeah,
I did some heists over the weekend, and I enjoy the rush of kind of going in and then getting the loot and then like getting the fuck out of here. I like that. I like the interactions between the NPCs. That's the first time that we've ever done that, which is pretty cool, you know. And Nick's done an awesome job in the writing. Yeah. Yeah. It's some of the dialogues are quirky, funny. And, some of the best interactions that I've seen.
I think he's fine tuning that skill, that ability to write like that. Yeah. He understands what the fan base wants. Kind of tweaking that. Yeah. Yeah. Heist was pretty good. Yeah. The next one's gonna be interesting. Oh yeah? Yeah. You're already thinking that? We're already working on the next one. Cool. Yeah, we're already working on it. And it's also like we have the December, right? We need to rework the map and stuff. The mapping. So it's gonna be interesting. Yeah. So this will probably beat my longest hours, I guess. So you reckon? Who knows, man? Man, I always, if one of the COVID hits. See, I always try to do, because there are those cycles and effects, and I always encourage, like, I don't know, refining tools after a league and then preparing for that ramp up. Is that happening? Well, I know MTXs are happening. They're all there's always work. Yeah. The thing is, it's not happening as much as all of us would like to happen, because most of the bugs are related to gameplay and visual effects. Yeah. And once a patch is released, we are usually bug fixing most of the time. Yeah. And bug fixing takes priority over anything else. Yeah. Is it time consuming? It's a bit, because sometimes at least for Delirium, when we were like, oh shit. Oh yeah, the fog. Yeah. Just turning it back. Yeah, everything is fog colored now. Yeah. So we had to kind of rework a lot of effects. Pretty much throw everything that we've done in the bin and then start over again. Jeez. Yeah, in a week's time. So we had to patch it. So things like this always happen. It's unexpected, and we have to be available for bug fixing most of the times. Yeah. Other than that, sometimes, like, there are times where I'd jump in, like, I made this cut tool the other day, and this is when I have some time between issues. I kind of do that. Yeah. But most of the times, we are actively working on issues. Yeah. And there is a technical debt in the visual effects team to be able to do that, where everyone takes care of a tool and then kind of does it. I wouldn't say it's a bad thing, because we have really good artists, and that's all I care about. Yeah. But
would I like to see refining? Would I like to see like tools being refined? Yes, but is that necessary? Is that the priority?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Yeah, I get you.
The priority is getting the patch in time.
Yeah.
Is probably the priority, you know?
Yeah.
And we still have a lot of visual effects stuff to do for heist.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
There's always work, man.
Yeah.
I'm looking at my own issues. Like, I'm probably going to be spending my entire week on this task.
Yeah.
Shit, dude, I'm going to start wrapping up. Do you have anything left you want to add?
Do I have anything? No. I mean, the only thing is what games are you playing?
Oh, yeah, right. Shit. Yeah, what are you playing?
What am I playing? I'm playing Hades right now.
Yep.
Hades, man. Oh.
You were talking about Hades months ago.
Yeah.
When it came out on the Epic Store.
It was in beta or something. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
Everyone's talking about it now.
Yeah, what I would give to do visual effects like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's such a cool game. Very quick and this is my problem. I enjoy games that are shot like this, and I enjoy games that I play for years without completing the main quest. I don't enjoy the games in between.
You're talking Witcher.
I'm talking Witcher. I haven't completed Witcher. I'm talking Skyrim.
Yeah.
It's been like fucking 7 years. I haven't completed Skyrim.
Shit. Okay. You just go in there and walk around.
Yeah, just walk around.
Yep. You catch up with the NPCs.
Pretty much. Have a glass of whiskey and then listen to music.
Slay a dragon.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Slay the occasional dragon. And
Hades. What's Hades about?
So Hades is a dungeon. It's a roguelike dungeon crawler. So you play Zagreus, the son of Hades.
Yeah.
You're a kid, you're a teenager, and you want to leave home because dad's been a dick, and you make your way out of hell.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much the game.
And you're slaughtering monsters as you're
slaughtering monsters because your dad's a dick. He wants you. I mean, the only way to get you back to hell is to kill you, so you can go back to hell.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So he's trying to kill you.
He's trying to kill you, and then you get help from the other gods. You get help from Zeus. You get help from Artemis and all those guys.
Mm-hmm.
So these are the boons. These are the things that you use to make your build in the game, and you there are boons from different gods that might play differently between each other and things like that. It's such a cool concept.
Yeah. The art style is really cool. That's memorable.
Jesus. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the Hades is. I bring it up constantly with the other visual effects artists. This is how we should be doing visual effects, guys.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, pretty much, because it's. Some disagree. I mean, of course,
it's very stylized.
It's very stylized, but I'm talking about timing.
Okay.
There's some really good timing that we can learn from that.
Yeah.
What are you playing?
What am I playing? I just finished playing. I talked about this on the podcast. It was Life is Strange 2.
Oh, right. Okay.
There was. Do you know about it?
Yeah.
Okay. So did you play it?
Nah.
Okay. Zach was talking about it. And
Zach from Visual Effects?
Yeah. And we were just talking about like what was the best example of an interactive medium in regards to like storytelling. And he mentioned Life is Strange 2. And I played the first one, enjoyed it, and I was like, oh, I never really checked out the second one. And I was kind of upset at how there wasn't any progression in terms of like new things that they added. The formula still seemed similar, but it's very much like, similar in terms of gameplay as the first one was. I enjoyed it. It was cool. I rant about lip syncing and how that is.
Oh, that's a big thing with your own project.
Yeah.
I was what's the thing? I mean, is narrative a big thing for you in a game, or
is narrative a big thing? Like what?
Is a good story a big thing, or is a good story a deciding factor? I mean, looking at your poster collection, probably not. I guess
is story. Red Dead has like a really good story.
It's all right.
Really?
I think so.
You played through it?
I haven't.
Oh my goodness.
I
okay.
haven't.
Is story good? Just based off cinema. Story seems to be played out like that. You talked about the hero journey. The hero's journey.
We were talking about it the other day.
And the story, it seems to be the same story. Everything. It's a love story. It's a this story. So I in terms of stories, I think I've seen most stories that humans have come up with.
It's all the same.
You can boil it down to certain things. So the thing that I've been looking at personally is just like storytelling. So you take the same story, but you tell it a certain different way. I think the best example recently was Breaking Bad, and I think it was just so great because you spent time with these characters. The things that they had to do would actually test their characters a lot. So you saw a lot of extremes between the two together, that kind of thing. I still think Breaking Bad is like one of those gems, like to this day.
So is it that I haven't seen Breaking Bad, but I kind of know the gist of the story.
Yeah.
Is it like he does unlawful things, but you still root for him?
Yeah, he's like the bad guy and the good guy. He's a human, you know.
Yeah, pretty much.
And what I'm seeing in video games is that the thing that I'm working on, I hope I get to see it to the end. That's what I'm going to say. And hopefully it'll deliver a different way of storytelling, which will actually bring what I think is like proper storytelling into video games. That's what I'm hoping for, because I actually think it's so surface level right now.
Right.
And you kind of don't get a depth to video games. I'm actually like looking at these games, but I can't think of anything that tells a really deep story. They're always told to you in an audiobook, in some piece of text. You have to read it.
Yeah. And
I always hated that in like the best medium, an interactive medium. I don't understand it.
I think there are some games that do it really well. Like Journey's
really cool.
Journey's pretty good.
Journey is very much like a symbolic game.
Yeah.
Do you know
which is
I'm not knocking it.
Yeah.
I'm not knocking it. Like I really love Journey.
That's the thing, right? Journey, if like a 10-year-old plays, he might probably get a different thing from what you might play, because the thing is, the stories only make sense based on what you've experienced in life. And
you're saying because a kid hasn't really lived.
Nah, yeah.
They don't know what to make of it.
Yeah,
they're just seeing colors.
Yeah, there is a really cool I don't know who. There's a philosopher, I don't remember who said it, but after 40 years, the person is basically reliving their life. So
interesting.
Yeah, they're basically living every good moments, every bad moments. It's just a loop again, because
I think we're of similar age where I'm definitely feeling like that.
Yeah.
And each day is interesting because I feel like I'm very much like a developed me. Like I'm not going to change too much.
Yeah.
But the interactions I have, I can skew them a certain way. I can,
Yeah, it's interesting because I think he reached that age because at that point is when most of our parents would have been gone, and
I see.
And you've seen death, you've seen birth, you've seen life, and then after that everything is kind of the same thing happening again, kind of a thing. But this is why stories are very subjective.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, it's like what I see today might be meaningless, and then like 20 years later it would probably be an eye-opener. I think that's probably why symbolism works, because it works on many levels.
Yeah.
Whereas if you explicitly rely on audio or video to just blatantly convey your story, then you are setting it in stone.
Yeah.
You're basically saying this is the story.
If you like symbolism in video games, you would love The Last of Us Part 2.
Okay.
I think.
Okay. I need to get a PS4 for that.
But that was the last thing I did a lot of like research into. Not research, just like extracurricular kind of stuff, listening to like developer diaries.
Those guys always blow me away, man.
The Last of Us 2? Yeah. Well, technically awesome.
Yeah.
I'm going through a YouTube video, like a critique. There's a guy with like a Swiss ball, Nakey Jakey or something.
Nakey Jakey.
I think it's Jakey Nakey or something. He's got a Swiss ball anyway, and he's got an hour-long YouTube video just talking about how he doesn't like The Last of Us. I'm like 20 minutes in, and it's pretty cool.
How he doesn't like Last of Us or Last of Us 2?
How he doesn't like Last of Us 2, or his critiques on the story specifically of Last of Us 2.
Right.
Yeah. It's interesting because of the heights of the first Last of Us, because they actually did such a good job of putting gameplay together with these really complex characters and have you play through that story. And the cliffhanger is like awesome too.
Yeah.
So it looked really promising going into the second game.
Yeah. After playing Journey, I enjoyed. There was a phase.
How many times did you play Journey, by the way?
Bunch of times.
When that game came out, did you get the white cloak? Do you know about it?
No.
Okay. When it came out on PlayStation 3,
yeah,
I think I played it like 15 times.
Yeah.
I got all the trophies and stuff.
Yeah.
I OD'd on this thing. Like, it was so good. I didn't understand why it was so good. The feel was good. That symbolism was crazy. Yeah, I just wanted to fly.
And the controls were really good too, you know?
Yeah.
So it was like a well-made game. After playing Journey, I got into a phase of playing similar games like that. I played Abzu.
Yeah.
Abzu is basically a Journey, but like
underwater.
In the ocean.
Yeah.
Underwater. Oh, such a beautiful game, that one.
Have you played their other games? Flower.
I haven't played Flower.
Okay.
It's in my list to play.
Yeah.
And then I played Inside. I played Limbo.
Yeah.
Inside. Have you played Inside?
Inside's incredible.
Oh, God damn.
The sound design is incredible.
What a great game. So that I kind of like games like that.
Yeah.
Where it's.
Did you ever play Firewatch?
I started playing Firewatch,
Okay.
but I think for some reason the art style put me off.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh. 3D is tricky.
Yeah.
Is it because of that?
It's because it's uncanny, but not in the sense that it is uncanny. Because if that game was in 2D, I wouldn't have any problem playing that.
Right.
Since it was in 3D, and I like my 3D worlds.
Wow.
A bit more
realistic.
Realistic.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Huh.
But do I though? Because I like Breath of the Wild.
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
I guess the only difference is that they create an illusion of open world in Firewatch.
Oh,
but it is very much a corridor.
Yeah, I know what it is.
What's that?
I like my open world to be third person.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
Yeah.
Dude, I still think, like, in terms of like story games, Firewatch is like up there on my list of story games.
Check it out.
It may not even be that huge and complex in terms of like dialogue, but the feeling of that is like enough. They don't even need to tell me that, the dialogue that I see is all that there is.
Yeah.
It's just the feeling that there may have been way more, and that your dialogue could branch off like it does naturally.
Right. Yeah. So you kind of already know.
Yeah, that feeling of it was just like, holy shit, like this conversation feels natural. I'm just doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really cool. And it's really cool. Like the ending is great too.
Okay, don't spoil it.
I thought it was great.
Yeah, I'll play it. I also played Celeste. I'm still playing Celeste. What a great game, man. Such a
game of the year, right?
I don't know, maybe, but I haven't played. I haven't noticed.
I believe it picked up like a whole bunch of titles.
Yeah, it's such
awards. Sorry,
such a great game, and such a great protagonist in the game as well. It's a character full of flaws, and then you kind of help, or you help the character, and she helps you as well, kind of to realize, hey, it's not all bad. Yeah, if you stick together, it's such a great game.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. These are really popular games right now.
Yeah. Yeah, Celeste is basically I play a level, I die, and then I get frustrated, and then I throw away my Switch, pick it up 5 minutes later, try it again.
Do the same thing, yeah.
So that's what I've been playing.
How are you feeling about Cyberpunk? That's around the corner.
No, I'm gonna put my skeptic glasses on for Cyberpunk because
why?
Because they have promised quite a bit. And I was talking to someone the other day about this. I don't remember who, but we're talking that they have promised a lot that they might end up implementing. It might have a system or game mechanic that as you progress into the game.
Mm.
So the first levels would be full of it, and then like as you go, it might start becoming repetitive, and there'll be less and less that you would do.
Oh, is this the procedural?
No, it's because the scope of the game that they've if they're making the game that they're saying they're making,
Yeah.
I feel that they've overpromised a little bit.
What have they promised?
Well, the amount of systems, the amount of customizations, the amount of guns, the amount of interactions that you have with other characters, the amount of NPCs, and the amount of different ways the story can go into. So I'm just saying this might all happen in the first 2 or 3 levels, and then after that,
I see.
it might become linear. It might not be the same. You know?
They made The Witcher, one of your favorite games.
Well, that's the thing. The Witcher, the great thing.
It's a predefined character.
Yeah, and also the great thing is it came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
You know, I mean.
Well, they kind of built up to that.
Yeah, I played Witcher 2. Witcher 2 is no Witcher 3 though.
Yeah.
You know? So,
I'll take your word for it.
Yeah, so Witcher 3 is a completely different beast.
Yeah.
So it'll be fair to say that they came out of nowhere. But then there is a huge expectation on their shoulder on Cyberpunk with Witcher 3. So
there's definitely that because, man, from what I hear, The Witcher 3 was really good.
Still holds up, dude.
Yeah.
Still holds up.
That's what I keep hearing.
Yeah. Still holds up. It's one of the games that I haven't finished it. I'm kind of picking it on and picking it off. And Zach kind of gives me shit for it. So
what do you mean?
He's like, "Oh, you should probably finish it. It's such an easy game. Why is it taking you too long?"
Oh shit! Okay, but you're appreciating it. You're loving just the world.
Yeah, I like to walk around.
Yeah,
I like my game is a walking simulator.
Yeah. Dude, if you like those games, I can recommend you.
Takes
place in the 1800s.
In the America, 1800 in the southern side of America.
Man, I can't. Yeah, well, I don't want to make it about me.
The old Driscoll brothers.
Yeah. Like, damn, it's good.
Yeah. Oh no, it is good. I appreciate it too.
It's a tech. The thing I love about Rockstar games is just how much they understand it is a video game, and by that I mean they do the low poly thing, and they don't care like if it looks bad. Well, you know. They try to make it look good, obviously, but they will just put this blank, tar-sealed wall next to this like gorgeous asset.
What is important for a Rockstar game?
The world, I think.
Right.
Like the feel, I think.
Right.
So, I think it is. Man, that weather system is real good.
Are they trying to make the Westworld?
I don't know. I don't know.
Like, is that what you mean by world? Like more like you feel like you are in the world, kind of a thing.
I think it's more of like systems reacting with you, very much what Zelda is doing.
Yeah,
but in a higher fidelity. I think, even though Red Dead doesn't do the things that Zelda does in terms of like that whole chemistry thing. I really hope they do that with their next game.
Yeah, it might be a hit and miss though. With the Zelda game. It's only a hit because you can quickly get out of it.
Yeah. Well, Zelda's interesting because he can like wield fire. Yeah. You just like bow it.
Yeah. Yeah, but it could be a hit and miss because it might become very tiresome or very complicated very quickly, that kind of a system. And I think Zelda kind of hit a right balance there.
Yeah, okay.
So, yeah.
Zelda very much has the good gameplay, interesting world, a lot of climbable things.
Some of the interactions,
but their story, I think, is hit or miss. You don't care?
I don't care. It's a very simple story.
Yeah.
But
kill the bad guy.
Yeah, kill the bad guy. The other thing is with Zelda, if you're level 1, the bad guy is right there.
Yeah.
If you're level 1, if you still want to go, you could go.
If you're really skilled, you go at level 1.
Even if you're skilled, you'll die. But he's there. He's not locked behind like an.
Have people gone and just like killed Ganon?
I don't think you can. I've been there.
Okay.
Yeah, the first minion will kill you.
Right. Okay.
But that's the thing. There is no XP lock. It's like, all right, fine. I mean, if you're up for the challenge, go do it, man. The other thing is the NPC or not, yeah, the NPC interactions are great, man, in Zelda.
Okay.
There are some very quirky characters in the game that just do like I was in the game the other day, and there are these interactions that you have in this game where there's this Yugi clan, so they kind of hate you because you kind of fucked with their boss.
Okay.
You know, so they hate you, and they're shapeshifters.
Yeah.
And you'd be walking, and then one of the MPs would be calling you for help.
I know
and
this.
Then you go.
I know how this plays out. Yeah, no, I played a very little of Breath of the Wild, and that happened to me.
Yeah. So those interactions.
I didn't realize that was an actual society of people.
Oh yeah.
And they shapeshift.
Yeah, there is I mean, if you go to the desert, I don't remember the name of the desert, but if you go to the desert village, Gerudo, I guess, that you get.
I thought Gerudo was rock guys.
Maybe I'm wrong.
Okay.
So if you go to the desert village, they would give you a mission to go infiltrate the dungeon where this clan is hiding.
Yeah.
That's how you know they're a clan.
Okay.
Yeah.
That Zelda is one of those games where they've got like so much story as well that they can just pull from.
Yeah.
I know that they have they've got that girl who's like apparently 1,000 years old or something, and she took some medicine very early on in the game. Probably. Yeah, she's like in this.
She's in the lab.
She's in a lab.
Oh right, okay.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So she's in the. She's the one that asks you to light blue flames.
I think so. Yeah, like right at the start.
Yeah.
So they have weird magic like that. I'm not sure if it's well established.
I don't know. I mean, I haven't. As I said, I've only defeated 2 of the beasts.
Okay. 2
of the divine beasts. I still have 2 more to go, and I still have Ganon to beat.
Yeah.
That's one of the games that I got.
How many hours have you put into that game?
Dude, probably hundreds. I'm just doing random shit in that game.
Yeah, okay.
Just going around, killing monsters, climbing rocks. Hey, there's a watchtower. I should probably go there.
Yeah. I want to get this Korok seed.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm just collecting Korok seeds pretty much.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Fair enough. It's a good like feel kind of game.
Yeah, and the music is just perfect.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. Like if you like puzzles, I guess. Like I always say this, like I'm an old dude that I really don't care for puzzles or like trying to beat a puzzle. My puzzle was like make my video game and try to do a good job at it.
Yeah.
Like that seems to be like the most hardest thing for me to do right now.
Well, most video games, if you're a solo developer, take years to develop.
Yeah, I'm finding that out, man.
Decade probably.
I feel like I'm approaching my like second year developing this thing, like in my free time.
Yeah.
And it's a thing of like, man, it's just hard to find good talent,
Yeah. No, yeah, it's especially if you're an indie developer, you kind of have to shell out money from your own pocket and things like that. It's
I'd love to find another person to work with.
Yeah.
You mentioned Harry before. I was just like, I would have loved to have made a game with Harry.
Yeah.
I just thought like a programmer artist combo would be fucking great.
You should talk to him.
I know he is, but I know he's probably got his own idea.
Yeah.
He'll want to make his thing. That's typically where it is. Like you have a lot of creative people. And they want to make their thing, and you want to make your thing.
Exactly, and most of the times ideas collide, and you're like.
And unfortunately, with me, I'm just like, no, I want to make my thing. I'm sorry.
This is what I told to someone. It's like if you're going to make games with friends, then you're not friends with them anymore.
Yes and no. Like the Jonathan, Chris, and Eric situation kind of worked out.
I think that's one in the
exception.
Yeah, that's 1 in a million. You don't want to place your bets on 1 in a million.
Yeah, but there are. Okay, yeah, I can think of.
No, you become friends.
Studios where it fell apart. So.
Yeah, you become friends with people who you make games with, but you can't make games with your friends.
Yeah, I wouldn't know. All I can say is that growing up where I grew up, it was very hard to find other developers and.
New Zealand still has a huge debt for developers. There's very less people around.
Especially for us boomers, right?
Yeah, exactly. Someone who can like work in our pace, right?
Yeah. No, but I think the younger guys coming in like with an Unreal background.
Yeah.
They're just like, yeah, of course I can just blueprint this up.
Yeah.
And it's what they know.
Yeah. And where they're saying, okay.
Yeah.
I thought
back in my day.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, boy, sit here. Let me tell you a story of my time.
Yeah. We had to paint out seams in Photoshop.
Yeah. Oh, those days, man.
Yep.
Those days.
Yep. That was, dude. How do you stay up to date? How do you keep the knife sharp?
How do I keep it? Just doing like little projects in my own time.
Yeah.
Trying to. So if there is a new update that comes around, I tend to make my project about it.
Yeah.
And then try to do it, and then kind of hopefully learn something out of it.
Yeah.
You know, this is. I might not up to date. I might not be up to date from an industry standpoint, but I am up to date as in what I might want to learn.
Yeah.
You know, so I think
Is that very much Houdini centric when you talk about updates?
it's very Houdini. It used to be very Houdini centric, but now it's kind of going into the Unreal realm.
Right.
And I'm
Okay.
kind of doing that quite a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The chaos route.
Yeah. The chaos and
Niagara,
and
yeah.
things like that. Yeah. That's pretty fun.
Yeah, for sure. I like shit. Unreal is in that position where they are
It
making
is
waves.
Unreal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're doing cool stuff now.
Yeah.
Dude, I'm gonna wrap it up.
Let's do it, man.
Do you have any social media you want to plug? Are you on Instagram? Are you on the Twitter?
I mean,
do you want to plug it?
Stay off of it.
Okay.
Is my only advice. I'm not on
Yeah.
any.
All
I'm
right.
not on any.
Cool.
I'm not on Instagram. I'm not on Facebook. I'm not on Twitter. I'm probably on LinkedIn, maybe. I don't
Awesome.
know. Yeah.
All right. Don't even bother
Yeah.
trying to contact
Yeah.
Jackson.
Please don't.
But hey, this was I think it's pretty great.
Yeah.
To have you here.
Yeah.
I learned a lot about you.
Mate, it's been awesome, and I mean, thank you so much for bringing me over here to do it.
Shit. Hey, no worries.
Yeah.
That was an episode of Front Seat Gamer apparently, but hey, it might depending on how it's received, I may or may not do more of these. Let me know in emails.
Yeah.
And Jackson, I'll probably have you on at some point again if it does well.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. Thank you so much for bringing me over, and I mean, it's always great to talk to you.
Yeah.
We've always been in the kitchen talking about things.
Thanks, man.
This is only a change of environment.
Yeah. Thanks for coming over.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much for bringing me over, and yeah, it was pretty good.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, and listeners, write in. Let me know what you think of this.